Cortes, and I'm a critic, and welcome back. We are continuing the NFL 2024 recap, and now we are starting with the AFC North after we have just concluded the NFC North. And then we're going to start today with the team that I think needs the most attention to ask questions of, have you solved your problems? So today we'll be talking about the Cincinnati Bengals in their 2024 draft class. They got 10 picks. It's going to be a long one. Let's do it. So before we get officially into the Bengals draft selection, I just have to ask, have the Bengals been able to solve their offensive lineman problems? Because going right into it, with the 18th overall selection in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Amarius Mims, offensive tackle, UGA. Bulldog. Cool, fantastic. Is because it just feels like since the Super Bowl loss to the Rams years ago, and Burrow's sadly having a little bit more consistency when it comes to injuries with the guy, that I just can't help but feel like have they finally solved their offensive problem woes? I remember after their Super Bowl loss to the Ram, which in a way they probably still could have won, just a little bit more protection there. And that whole run where Burrow got sacked more time by any quarterback that kept winning games in playoffs in NFL history. So that's another stat that probably be like, huh? It's a negative, but we still won, so what's the point? Getting offensive Aries Mims now, as I said in my past videos, offensive tackles, when the floodgates open about offensive tackles after Joe Alt, you start seeing the Steelers get picked, you start seeing, players getting, the Jets getting it, that you start feeling like all the good offensive tackles were going very fast, almost in like a fire sale type way. When I talked about Green Bay got an offensive tackle out of Arizona, where some people were probably thinking, didn't really have him that high on most draft boards, but you really need an offensive tackle, so you may do what you do. Arias Mims is coming in here to probably help in so many ways get the offensive lineman going. He is a now sticker because I'm still questioning how the Bengals can keep somehow not getting the offensive lineman situation squared away. They have, they have a traded player. They have picked up on free agency. They have taken some players from team that were considered Super Bowl contenders at one point, and they keep trying to build this offensive lineman. But Joe Burrow keeps getting hurt, if not one thing or another. So getting Amarius Mims out of UGA, which I feel like some people say that he's still kind of raw. He's still not really, 100% development, which explains why, according to ESPN.com, he is viewed as a backup at the right tackle position behind Trent Brown. So I'm still giving him a now because offensive tackle, quarterback, kicker, punters, more than likely when they're drafted, they're probably expected to be a starter almost as soon as possible, especially in the first round. So Mims is a starter. Moving on. Then we go to the second round, and with the 49th selection of the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Chris Jenkins, defensive tackle, Michigan. I still feel like the defense of the Bengals is still being hung by unsung heroes. I mean, you got Harper, who's there. You got Trey Henderson, who I think is great. You got Logan Wilson. I still feel like the Bengals don't have that iconic defensive presence that a lot of teams, have. I mean, when you think of the Ravens, people think of Patrick Queen or Humphrey. When you think of the Chiefs, think of Chris Jones. Hell, think about teams that won Super Bowls in the past. You think about the Rams, Aaron Donald. Think about the Buccaneers. You think of Shaq Barrett, Devin White. Every team had a center-focused defensive player to represent their defense. For the Bengals, I have a hard time to think who was really that iconic defensive front. Now, the cool thing about Chris Jenkins, in case it wasn't obvious, I remember his father when he played for the Panthers. And then they showed a photo when he got drafted. A little not very nice side story. And then you see him, he was a little kid. He was a child. And now, one, he went to Michigan, won a national championship, so congrats to him. But also, he got drafted in the top 50 of the NFL, and is going to a team that's considered contenders by every potential ESPN NFL analysis and strategic, person. So him coming in here, he gets a now sticker because very much like the Mims thing, and I think they need help with that line. The line is still kind of questioning on the defense and offensive line. So seeing Jenkins come out of Michigan, He definitely gets a now sticker. He is projected to be behind Sheldon Rankins at the defensive tackle side, but still, I believe he'll get in rotation, which that's the big key for him. The sooner he gets in, the more involved. And plus, it was the Michigan defense that was vital to the Michigan success, especially when it comes to the line side. So I feel great things for Jenkins in the future. Then we go to the third round, and with the 80th selection on the 2022, not that far, in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Jermaine Burton, wide receiver, Alabama. This guy, I'm feeling steel with this guy. I'm feeling steel. The Bengals have been very good, in my humble opinion, in drafting receivers. Boyd out of Pittsburgh, Higgins, and you got Chase. I just feel like they have just been hitting very good on receivers from the draft, and they're making impacts right away. And funny enough, according to the projection depth chart, Chase, Higgins, and Burton are the first three receivers out the gate. Burton had a very unique college experience going from UGA to Alabama for, of course, I guess more playing time or maybe a better contributing factor to it. And I feel like he was a big vital for Alabama's success, especially getting the late from the playoffs to get into the playoffs. Sadly, losing to Michigan in that round. But I really want to. I feel it that he's a steal. I feel like he's going to blow up, and he's going to be. It's going to sound really negative, but he may be so good that the Higgins thing might lead to a trade midway through the season. That's how confident I'm feeling with Burton. I feel like, yes, Higgins is good to have Higgins, but we all know in today's NFL, sometimes it's hard to keep two number one receiver as 1 and 2. I mean, very few teams have that tie. I mean, the Bucks be the next team I can think of. The Rams have Coop and now Puka Nacua now, so they got two great receivers. So, and they both got drafted. Both teams got drafted receivers through the draft. This one, I feel it, man. Burton might be a steal, so keep an eye on him. Watch him make an impact, like literally right away. That's why he gets a now sticker. He's already projected to be a starter anyway, but watch him make some explosive plays, and he may even help Chase, who's already good, get more because he will probably draw just as much attention, double team, safety, over the top coverage, that Chase might be like, thanks, bro, and he'll take it further himself. So, steal. Watch that. Still in the third round, with the 97th selection in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected McKinley Jackson, defensive tackle, Texas A&M. Another player that I feel like with Jenkins out of Michigan, definitely going to be a now player, get some rotations involved with the veterans in there. McKinley Jackson is going to be a third stringer, but when it comes to defensive tackles, I feel like rotation and fresh legs is a factor. So the question becomes, how soon can Jackson get acclimated to the defensive schemes at the NFL level? I think Priest can be a big factor, but I think Jackson and Jenkins will be contributing factors definitely in the first, 4 to 8 weeks of the season. And then we'll see in the second half of the season with injuries and playing time and consistency, we'll see how much more responsibility they get thrust upon them. But I feel like with two defensive tackles coming in here with Jenkins and Jackson, they're probably breeding them to become eventual starters down the line. But as of this upcoming year, I'm going to say they're both nows. So definitely get a now for him, that he'll get some quality playing time in the first 8 weeks, guaranteed. Then we go to the fourth round, and with the 115th selection in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Eric All Jr. Eric All Jr., tight end, Iowa. Who? Okay, that's being very mean. It's Iowa, to me, I feel like has been one of the universities that has been very good at developing tight ends. George Kittle, Dallas Clark, Jonah Fant, TJ Hawkinson. I feel like Iowa has been that type of university that somehow, at one point I thought it was Miami. The U was Shockey and everything. I thought they were going to be known, and Kellen Winslow Jr., say what you want to say about that guy, was a tight end U type of school, but I feel like Iowa has taken that title back from Miami back in the day. So, but look, the thing is I have with the tight end situations that there was another, they do draft another tight end down the line, but I'm looking at them. They got Mike Gillespie out of free agency, which I feel like he will probably thrive much more in Cincinnati, which makes me just go, I can see, I mean, you got the receiving core of Cincinnati should be probably one of the best, if not the best, based on paper with the player they have on it. Then you got Drew Sample and Tanner Hudson in the 2 and 3 department, and I don't see them going a lot of 2 tight end set, especially when they have a 3 receiver set up. That Eric All right now is currently as a 4 stringer, so I'm gonna say he might be elsewhere. He might be too far behind much more talented and proven players that he may get used very sparingly, or maybe as a designated blocker in his first year. That he might just be too far down the line to probably make an impact this year. And then of course we'll see down the line later, but he just feels a little bit like he is already very deep on the depth chart, and I don't see Cincinnati running a lot of 2 tight end formations in a passing setup unless for blocking in short yardage situations. So I'm gonna say this guy might be just too far down the line to make an impact as quickly as you would like to. Going to the 5th round with the 149th selection in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Josh Newton, cornerback, TCU. Now, I remember when the season started, when it was, of course, it was definitely the whole Colorado TCU matchup, Deion Sanders debut, blah, 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 blah. But the guy I kept hearing from TCU was Josh Newton, this corner. That was the guy that they were saying, who's this guy going to match up against Travis Hunter? Because Travis Hunter is a two-way player in Colorado, or Weaver, or Horn. That was the go-to DB for the TCU defense, because the year before, they just went to the national championship and got roped, destroyed by Georgia. So, but Josh Newton was already considered a highly, classified defensive back for TCU. I'm actually quite surprised he went this late into it for the amount of time he was praised, because of his talent. He's viewed as a 3rd stringer according to ESPN.com. I just feel like if this guy is as potentially gifted as he was praised to be, then I feel like he could need some time to develop. I put him as a later. We'll see what he does probably halfway through the season, see how much more contributing factor he has. Special teams contributor, definitely feel that way. Then again, I feel like anyone with speed, that might be your way to get into the roster, is your ability to run up and down, special teams and make tackles. So we'll see what he can do there. As for the secondary department, when it comes to Cincinnati, I still kind of feel like Cincinnati is still suffering from the Jesse Bates departure in their secondary department. So he may not be looking right now, but I'm just saying, just keep an eye on him. Just keep an eye on him, see what he does. Especially if he starts making tackles on special teams, and he's a football player before he starts getting over them. Just keep an eye on him. Just keep an eye on him. I just feel like, I'm not gonna say he's a steal like Burton, but I'm gonna say that he might be a diamond. He might be a little rough, but just keep an eye on it. So I'm just gonna feel that he's something. There's something there. Then we go to the 6th round, and with the 194th selection in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Tanner McLean, tight end, Arizona. Apologies if I'm McLean, tight end, Arizona. Similar to the Eric Allwell story. If Eric All is, I put him as an else, because if Eric All is 4th, in the same argument, have about 2 tight end systems set up, that don't want to criticize too much, but Cincy, you drafted 2 tight ends and your tight end pool seems already pretty full. Not trying to tell you to do your job, but I'm just making an observation. You have, already qualified tight ends already, and we just don't see you running 2 tight end system as consistent, like, in the day where Brady had, a 2 tight end system and was successful, even though 90% of the time went to Gronk, but still. So this might be a sense where Tanner might be just too far down the depth chart to make something happen. I don't know. We'll see what happens in preseason when he gets some more playing time, of course. But I'm just feeling that he is deep. He is deep on that depth chart, guys. In the 6th round, we're still here with the 214th selection in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Cincinnati Bengals selected Cedric Johnson, pass rusher or edge, Mississippi. Pass rushers, I feel like, are valuable in the same way as running backs by committee. Sometimes it's good to have that Micah Parson, Julius Peppers, Lawrence Taylor, Derek Thomas type of guy that he just takes all the attention. Khalil Mack at times. I think Nick Bosa is that guy with the Niners. That he's the kind of guy that TJ Watt, I guess, the big one, that you want something to be like that, but a contributor that keeps getting like 4 to 5 to 7 sacks just to help, or in some cases just take the pressure off, is something. So I can see why they're going with Cedric Johnson. Looking at the roster spots, he's behind. He's with Trey Hendrickson asking for a trade recently. I can see probably the desire to get more depth in the pass rusher department, even though it's late, even though I kind of felt like maybe probably could have used those picks to probably get a pass rusher a little earlier, especially if they were to honor Trey Hendrickson's trade request. So, Cedric Johnson, the pass rusher, plentiful. I'm putting him as an else, but that could change to a later. Especially that if Trey Hendrickson gets traded, he might get moved up to a now and get rotation right away. But because of Trey Hendrickson's ability and Miles Murphy is behind him, I just am just feeling that he could be a later, but I'm gonna be safe and say he is an else where he might just not get enough playing time to develop in his first year, and he may become just collateral damage, sadly, and be moved to practice squad and maybe go somewhere else to get more playing time, more opportunities. So just keep an eye on that one. Then we go to the 7th round with the 224th selection in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Cincinnati Bengals selected Daja Anthony, safety, Mississippi. It is so nice to see when teammates go on the same team. It's kind of like a nice heartfelt story. It's like, hey, dude, I got drafted by Cincinnati. Me too. We're going to be teammates. We both got drafted very late, but that doesn't matter. We both got drafted to the NFL, will forever be known as NFL draft selections. Yeah. So, going back to the argument about the secondary still suffering from the Jesse Bates feeling, I feel like Anthony is going to definitely be a special teams contributor probably right away. As for him getting some playing time into it, looking at the roster projection, I don't see my dude's name in the first 4 as of right now. I don't see his name in the first 4. So I don't know what they probably see in him moving forward, but he might just be suffering from a case of too far on the depth chart right now to making projections. We'll see on special teams, but I feel like DBs probably have a more likely chance to make roster spots because they need tacklers on special teams and they need speed, and defensive backs have been known to be one of the fastest players on most football teams to have that, so he might get a chance to be on the team because of his speed, and he plays defense, so he knows how to tackle. At least we hope defensive backs know how to tackle. We always know that's a criticism. They're all prima donnas, and they just do the whole push out of bounds and they say, I did my job. Criticizing, it's funny. So we'll see what Anthony does in preseason, but as of right now, he might just be a casualty of just too far down the line to make a contributing factor right away. He got to make some splashes in preseason. That might be his way to get in. If not here, maybe somewhere else. And then with the last pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, with the 237th selection in the 7th round in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals selected Matt Lee, center, Miami. Now, Matt Lee, very much a lot of his counterparts onto it. He is projected to be a center, so I feel like they're not going to move him to a different position, but I don't feel like that might not be completely out of the woodwork when it comes to that. Most centers are sometimes versatile in guard and center positions. But Matt Lee right now is projected to be the 3rd stringer behind Ted and Terry in the center line department when it comes to the depth chart. So we'll see what his contributing factor offers. We all know that most teams probably keep 2 centers, or they keep a center that can be a guard, so therefore they can save space. So we'll see how much Matt Lee, maybe he gets some opportunities in practice squad to stay on the team. But as of right now, he might just be another casualty of just he's too far on the depth chart to make an impact, and because of roster spots could be very tight, that he might just be a casualty of we need to make space to add another defensive back, another linebacker, another receiver. So that might just become a case of he might need to go somewhere else to get more opportunities. But this first year, even if he becomes flexible and changes position for packaging, he still might be too far down the depth chart to make an impact. But that's what happens when a team picks 10 players in the draft. You almost pick an entire starting roster of players. And in the NFL, where even veterans who've been there for 3 or 4 years who are on the edge could be a simple 1 or 2 drop or 1 or 2 misplays away, or 1 or 2 seconds away from speed could determine your placement on the team. It is incredibly cutthroat. It's like casting for a reality show. Not really. So, that is all the pick for the Cincinnati Bengals, and my overall grade. They've been considered contenders. I feel like they're still contenders, so I'm not going to sugarcoat this. The Bengals are still contenders. They're still contenders. Like I said, I think the 2 defensive tackles, Jackson and Jenkins, are going to be rotational players right away. Mims is going to be in the development, but I still feel like he'll be playing sooner than later. And Burton, I feel like, is going to be the Steelers going to branch off. And Josh Newton out of TCU is a player that I think just keep an eye on him. Just keep an eye on him, see what he does. You know, it may not be splashy, but if he's committed, consistent, just keep an eye on him. And that's what I'll say about the Bengals. They're contenders. No big surprise. They stay as such. So, after 10 plus picks and grades, we're going to continue down with the AFC North by going to, we're in Ohio. Let's stay in Ohio. We're going to go and talk about the Cleveland Browns in the next video. So until then, I'm Cortez, and I'm a critic. Thank you very much for watching.